28 people were on a ship in the Antarctic Ocean, but their ship was stuck in millions of tons of ice. They had spent 7 months standing in one place. During that time, one night they heard a loud sound from below the ship, and the ship tilted to one side. It seemed as if someone had tried to push the ship hard from below. What happened after this was beyond their imagination. Once again, there was praise in the videos of World Archive TV. Viewers of the Antarctic Ocean, where the waves are as high as buildings, winds are 100 kilometers per hour, and the temperature of the water is so low that the blood in the human body starts freezing. Traveling in this ocean is like embracing death. Even if you are saved due to the cold and waves, then the ice pieces as big as mountains have the ability to easily crush the ship. But 111 years ago, when neither technology nor ships were so advanced, a ship of a group of 28 people got stuck in this terrifying sea. They spent not a few weeks or months, but surprisingly 2 whole years under the open sky. There was only snow, stormy winds, lack of food and water, and no chance of calling for help. This is such a survival story that the world has named it the greatest survival story of all time. The hero of this story is Sir Ernest Shackleton, who was an explorer, and his mission was to test the endurance of the human body, and for this reason he named his ship as Endurance. He had done many terrifying missions in his life. In 1901, he was a part of the mission to reach Antarctica, but after 750 kilometers, he turned back from a distance. In 1907, too, he embraced this mission again, but just 150 kilometers before that, he had to turn back. And this time in 1914, his plan was not only to reach Antarctica, but he also intended to cross this continent on foot. The reason was that Sir Ernest Shackleton wanted to do something that no one had done before. This mission was named Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition, and because the nature of this mission was very dangerous, no one was ready to go on this mission. The first challenge for Sir Ernest was to find a crew for his expedition. Then he wrote an advertisement and got it published in the Times newspaper. Remember that this was not an advertisement of any ordinary tour operator. Its initial words were, "Man wanted for hazardous journey." It was clearly written that the money would be very less. One would have to face deadly cold. One would have to live in darkness for many months. One would have to play with danger every moment, and there was no guarantee of safe return. Sir Ernest wanted to attract those people who were not afraid of danger. Soon he hired a group of 27 people. Sir Ernest had planned for 4 years for this mission, but as the time started coming closer, his dream of expedition started fading, because World War I had started in the world. Everyone thought that perhaps the expedition would be canceled now, but Britain, which had itself declared war, gave permission to the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition. For this mission, an extremely strong ship was needed, which could move forward cutting through the ice-covered Antarctic Ocean. But this was not an ordinary ship which could be built easily. Luckily, a similar ship already existed to sail in the Arctic. A Norwegian company had built this ship for another explorer who wanted to take the elite class of the time on a polar bear hunt. But his business model flopped. Sir Ernest bought this ship and named it Endurance. Endurance was specially built with thick American oak wood, and the design was such that the wood could withstand the tremendous pressure of ice. It was a kind of hybrid ship which had sails as well as an engine. Now finally the day came for which Sir Ernest had been waiting for many years. On 8th August 1914, Endurance started its journey from the city of Blemth in England. For the next 4 months he kept traveling in the Atlantic Ocean. First he went to Argentina, from there to South Georgia Island, and after completing the final preparations there, on the 5th of December 1914, they directed the ship towards Weddell Sea in the Antarctic Ocean. Endurance had 28 people along with 50 large breed dogs. They were to be used to pull the equipment, etc. in the ice of Antarctica. This journey continued for 46 days, and now they were going to reach the coast of Antarctica in just 1 day. But then on the 18th of January 1915, the first problem blocked their way. What happened was that the layers of ice on the Weddell Sea kept getting thicker and thicker, and at one point these layers became 18 feet thick. And now Endurance did not have enough strength to tear them apart and move forward. This ice was so weak at some places that it was not even possible to start the journey on foot from here. The Endurance was already stuck in the ice about 130 kilometers from its destination, Vassal Bay. Initially, it seemed that this issue might have occurred accidentally, but this actually proved to be the biggest problem in the way of the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition. After several days of continuous effort, they decided to move the 300-ton ship manually. The crew was completely exhausted after working continuously for the next 2 days to cut the ice and make a path. But this task was more difficult than they had thought. After several days of hard work, they could move the ship only 300 meters. But then Endurance got stuck again. After trying to free the ship for 1 month, Sir Ernest finally lost hope on the 14th of February 1915. He decided to leave the ship to the natural movement of the ice. It is possible that the ice will break up on its own as soon as winter ends. During this time, Endurance was serving as a winter station. The crew started doing their routine work in it. But the only difference was that the ship was now standing in one place. The spirit of the crew was very high, and Sir Ernest had maintained a discipline on the ship. They spent time discussing, playing soccer, cutting each other's hair, and cooking to keep themselves busy throughout the day, just waiting for the ice to break one day and give them a way to go forward or backward. As the days passed for the crew and Endurance, everyone became closer to each other. Even animals started having an emotional attachment. Everyone hoped that one day they would reach close to some civilization. But perhaps nature had something else in store. In April 1915, the ice started breaking, but due to the increasing pressure, the layers of ice started climbing on each other, and this was a very unexpected event. The millions of tons of compressed ice started to put pressure on the Endurance. At this point, it was most important to free the ship from the pressure of the ice, so everyone worked together to remove the ice. After a few weeks of hard work, this problem was averted, but the danger still remained. On the night of 14th July 1915, suddenly a loud sound came from under the ship, and Endurance tilted to one side. No one knew what had happened. Was it a collision with a whale or something else? Somehow the night passed, but what was seen in the morning was unbelievable. The layers of compressed ice had not only tilted the ship to one side, but now its rudder, with the help of which the ship is turned, was completely broken. The crew of Endurance had been stranded here for 7 months now, and they were at least 2,000 kilometers away from any human population. No connection with anyone, no hope of getting help. If they had any hope from anyone, it was Sir Ernest Shackleton. On the 18th of October 1915, the dreams of the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition were shattered. The crew of the mission was stuck at one place for 9 months. Then suddenly one night a wave of pressure came, which tilted the Endurance 30 degrees to one side in the blink of an eye. Now the danger of the ship leaking started looming over their heads. Due to cracks in some places, water started filling inside. The entire crew worked together all night to somehow prevent the water from filling inside the ship. But perhaps this was the only support of the roof over their heads. On the 27th of October 1915, Sir Ernest Shackleton gave the order to evacuate the ship, because now this was the only way to save lives. After taking out the necessary equipment, animals, food, lifeboats, bedding, etc., the entire crew was forced to come under the open sky on a sheet of ice. The ship, which had been their support for the last several months, now broke down under the pressure of the ice in front of them and slowly started sinking in the water. Now only one question was coming to everyone's mind, that how long will they wait for the floating ice? Sir Ernest Shackleton decided that staying here is not free from danger. He knew of an island named Pallet 550 kilometers away where there used to be shelter and supplies. But the support of only 3 lifeboats was not enough to reach there. Because what will these lifeboats be for the ice that can break such a big ship? Hence it was decided to go to this island on foot. They started their journey towards Paulet Island, which was the most dangerous part of their adventure. For the next 6 months, the crew faced life-threatening dangers. They would either fall into a hole in the ice sheet on which they would camp, or they would float downstream. Luckily, the ice sheets were slowly floating towards Paulet Island. So Sir Ernest decided that he would swim to Paulet Island by floating on the ice sheet. Now they had run out of food and water. They tried to hunt whatever they could find on the floating ice sheet-like island, like penguins and seals. February 1916. It had been 13 months since they set out on the journey. Now the conditions were such that they were able to survive on just one biscuit at a time. Over the next month, while waiting for Paulet Island, The situation became so bad that they even had to kill their dogs. Now they had made arrangements to survive for the next few days. They hoped to get some supplies after reaching Pollitt Island. But the floating island they were on broke its hold. The ship changed direction and headed for Elephant Island instead of Pollitt Island. For the next few days, the sea was stormy. The temperature dropped to -20 degrees, and many crew members started getting frostbite. Their mouths and tongues had become so numb that it was difficult to even swallow. Soon, April 1916 arrived. Somehow, he managed to reach Elephant Island with the help of a broken sheet of ice. It was the first time he had touched land in the last 16 months. He breathed a sigh of relief on Elephant Island, but this island was completely barren, and it was not possible to stay here for long, especially after the food supply ran out. There was only one hope, and that was South Georgia Island, 1,300 kilometers away from here. Sir Ernest Shackleton decided that he would undertake this suicidal mission to go to South Georgia Island in a lifeboat. He chose some people from the crew, and on the 24th of April 1916, he left from Elephant Island for South Georgia Island. This route is considered to be one of the most dangerous sea routes in the world. They had to face waves which were up to 90 feet high. The icy cold was so intense that every part of the body started freezing. Along with all these difficulties, they had to do this journey without GPS and without compass, only with the help of stars and sun. Despite trying hard every day, he could not cover a distance of more than 80 kilometers. After 16 days, on 10th May 1916, Sir Ernest Shackleton and 5 crew members finally managed to reach South Georgia Island. But there was a problem here. They had reached the wrong side of South Georgia Island. In front of them were 4,000 feet high mountains. After climbing for the next 36 hours, they finally reached the other side where Welling Station was located. Shackleton's condition was so bad that people at Welling Station could not even recognize him. No one could believe that Sir Ernest, who had left about 1.5 years ago, had reached here in such a condition. After staying in South Georgia for 3 days, Sir Ernest headed back towards Elephant Island, where he had left 22 people in a bad condition. He made several failed attempts to reach Elephant Island. Finally, on the 30th of August 1916, he saw smoke rising from a distance on Elephant Island, which was lit for signal. Sir Ernest did not know how many of his people were alive, but when he came closer, surprisingly, he found all the Elephant Island crew alive and well. He had left England for the first time on the 8th of August, 1914. After 2 years and 22 days, he brought his entire team back home safely. Of course, he never completed his actual mission. He had made 2 failed attempts to reach the South Pole before, and in the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition too, he got stuck 120 kilometers before. But his survival story gave him the position which he might not have got even after completing the mission. 107 years after this sentence, in the year 2022, Endurance was finally found in the Antarctic Ocean. Endurance is still preserved in perfect condition on the ocean floor 3,000 meters below. Even the name written on it can be read correctly. Hope you all will like and share this video of World Archive TV. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next amazing video.